Okay, I think you can hear me now. Okay, so I tried to put Chase on the set, but he doesn't feel good. He's hurt. He dies. I'm not gonna bring him anymore. It's just not fair to him. Okay. All right, let's have some fun. Some of the things that you have to do on Halloween costumes can be very challenging. Where's my dog? Okay, he found himself a safe place. And happy pre-Halloween, everyone. Raise your hand if you are going to make a costume for anyone, including yourself, this Halloween. Here's the thing, I don't just do one thing. And I got to turn off the refrigerator or the air conditioner. Okay, I launched like another career, and one of the things I'm doing is actually creating commercials for people. So I used a different microphone on my computer, and then so the computer was confused because there were two mics going into the same computer. So sorry. I have this lace that behaves a lot like tulle, and I was going to actually show you how we can sew some pearls on the edge of that and also gather it. But you also may want to know how to apply elastic to it if you want to be able to create a little tutu for yourself or a little one in your life. So, and then I was like, okay, sequins are frequently on the list for me for costumes. Have you ever sewn a sequin before? I stole my mat that I created for the sewing machine and took it to my computer because I like it so much. If you missed that episode, it was a couple weeks back on Fabrically Speaking Live, which is a playlist on my YouTube channel. You'll also find all these videos inside of the Creative Feet fan page on Facebook as well. Another fun thing that you can do for Halloween is use the glow-in-the-dark thread. So not only can you create a costume for someone, but you can make them glow in the dark. Easier to keep track of the little ones as they're running around from house to house. And this comes in 10 different shades of color for the daytime, and then at night it drops down to about 4 different shades. On my website I have an image showing actual photos of the thread glowing and the color that it is on the spool. So it's a really fun addition, and we do have it in stock, so don't delay because we generally will sell out of the glow-in-the-dark thread before Halloween. Hello, Amy and Debbie, and let's see if I can pull up my close to me, and Judy and Mary, and my eyes are blurry today. Rita. Okay, I have to set up a couple things. Yikes. The stand that holds my phone, and another light so you can see the sewing machine better. And let's see, which some of the goodies that I have set up here to play with. And this is an example of a costume designed when I did a show in Las Vegas. This is a sleeve, and you can see how you can incorporate applique using satin material or really nice fabrics. The iron almost dropped. So I thought about applying some sequins to this fabric. Voice is too soft. Let me see if I can raise the volume. Why is it soft? I will have to talk louder. I have the mic all the way up. Oh, maybe it's in a setting on the computer. Let's see. So you guys, a spider web is something that you can also sew into a solid piece of fabric. So like right in the middle of this, I'm going to do a spider web, which I have done on t-shirt material, but never on something like this. This is a actual sheer acid wash kind of velvet combination with tulle or organza and perhaps some pearls on this. This is a metallic fabric. Let me see the volume again. I'm so far from my computer. Oh no, we have a mosquito in here and he's sizable. Here's my microphone. I do have my microphone all the way up. Are you able to hear me better, Mary? I'll tell you what. That's all I can do from where I'm at right now. Okay, enough of that. Sorry for not being ready, you guys. I need to find the beginning of this. It should be in here, and it's not. Oh, here we go. Sorry about that. Forgot to mute my phone. Oh my goodness. Okay. So this one is for that, and this one is for that. Have you guys ever sewn with any of these fabrics before and had trouble? And if so, what was the problem that you faced? Did you have skip stitches? Or perhaps did your fabric get a hole in it because of who knows why? All of a sudden you have this really nice pretty fabric and maybe it got shoved down into the sewing machine and you couldn't pull it out. If these are issues that you have, these are the answers in my Creative Feet Technical Guide and Workbook. I tell you the needle to use, needle thread, stitch length, stitch width, stitch pattern, and I do speak about different types of fabrics at the same time so that you will be able to go into a project with more confidence, knowing that you're doing it right before you ever begin. And let me get this thing in its spot. I can't keep holding it, and so all right. Whoops. I almost reported myself. See, all I tried to do was bring my doggy here, and it messed me up. And he just can't handle the car ride. even though I got all this really fancy stuff to make it easier. All right. Of all the things that I've mentioned, most people find that elastic is the most difficult thing that they do. Which of the 3 creative feet do you think would work for elastic? And what makes it so much better than any other foot on any sewing machine, including overlock machines, is that it holds the elastic for you from behind the foot so that you don't have to pull as you're sewing. You'll be able to just hold it in front of you like this. Which foot do you think it is? One more thing and my brain will be working better. There we go. Okay, so that camera is way over. Let's see. Okay, that's fine. I moved a little bit around because of the dog. All right, first thing I'm going to do is the elastic because it's on my mind. And, well, maybe we'll do some pearls on this first, then gather it, then sew elastic. Need this to be moved. You want some ribbon? Oh, yes, it is the sequins and ribbon foot. You guys are so smart. Oh, I have the wrong thing. All the things that are normally organized. What is the stitch, the best stitch for sewing elastic on? Okay, I got my mouse, which I don't need. I'm going to put it in here. And for those of you who are new, welcome to my channel. Welcome to the Creative Feet family. This is the top of my hand-painted sewing machine. In case you're wondering why my machine is this color. And I'm trying to get a better angle, which is why I tipped my table funny today. Trying to get the camera to be in a better spot. I do need the mouse. Sorry for the noise, you guys. Oh, I'm saying sorry a lot. Oh, close tight. That's the camera that's off. There we go. This is sequins and ribbon, and it has this little tube that holds trim like elastic and the sequins as well. Now you may have different size sequins or ribbons that you are going to want to sew on, or elastic, and we have different size guides to accommodate. Another foot that I'm going to show today is the pearls and piping foot, and the pearls and piping foot has a little tunnel underneath, and it's designed for sewing different size pearls. And even though it is only one foot with one tunnel, it can sew a variety of different sizes just with the one foot in, without having to buy any additional accessories for it. And then another foot is the Satinedge, and this is the one that we can use to do applique, like you see how I hemmed this dress with an applique pattern, and then finish the edge of it, and then put pearls on the edge of that. So the Satinedge foot was used for these stitches, and the pearls and piping foot for the pearls on the edge, sequins and ribbon for the sequins, and you can see there's no stitches showing on those sequins. It's almost magic. And I'm a little corny today because it's Halloween coming, and that tells me, you know, sends me little magical words like that. Okay. It's all your fault because you guys were asking me to bring Chase this week. He's over by the door pouting. It's like, why'd you bring me to this boring place when I could be at the house with the other dog? When you make something, you have to think about the order in which you sew it. I think I'll put some, this is what I was going to put sequins on, right? No, it was this. Because this fabric is one of the most challenging of all. It is a chiffon, and this has a metallic kind of paint that is heat set onto the fabric, which can break your needle. So there's a real combination of issues with this particular fabric. If we use a sharp needle, well, we won't have a problem with the needle breaking when it hits the paint. But if we use a sharp needle, well, we're at risk of shredding the fabric or making it crunch up. If you've ever hit a thread and had your fabric bunch up on you before, raise your hand and know that you're not alone. And that is what causes it, using a sharp tip needle on that fabric, or using a round tip needle on a fabric that's stretchy and needs, or a fabric that needs a sharp point needle. Sorry, oh goodness. Saying sorry too much. All right. I'm laughing at myself. That's what you got to do, right? This is a fabric that you would really want to stabilize because it's so sheer. But if you stabilize your fabric and you're sewing a sequin on, you can actually have, I normally use a zigzag stitch that crosses over the sequins. And if you have a stabilizer on the back side, well, stabilizers don't come away easily with a zigzag stitch. So you would have to use like a, what's going on there? Those pallets can be brutal. All right. What did I do with that sequin and ribbon foot? Here we go. This, all of the creative feet, by the way, come with attachments, little adapters that make it so you can just snap it on an adapter and attach it to your sewing machine. If you have a snap-on foot, first try to snap it onto your machine, snap-on adapter. Right now I have a black 40 weight polyester thread on the machine. And I highly recommend going down to the Invasifil thread line. This is 100 weight, and it's really fine. So it, because of the volume of thread being so reduced, you can drop down the needle size to a much smaller needle size and be less likely to damage the fabric. I'm going to leave this heavy dark thread on because, well, if there's going to be a problem, I want you to see the kind of situation that you would have. And I also want you to see the stitch. And since it's kind of dark, see if I can get it lighter. There we go. Sequins unwrap off the spool. I didn't know these were see-through sequins. If you run your finger this way, they run right through your finger. If the sequins are facing this direction, they will catch on your finger. So you want to make sure that you feed the sequins into the foot the way that they don't get caught on the leading edge of the foot. It's also easier to cut all the way up to a sequin and insert with the foot off the sewing machine into the guide. So if you start feeding it through and you pull it and it won't go through, you know you've put them in backwards. This sequin is a 6mm wide sequin. I'm going to use at least a 6.5mm wide width to go across these. You can purchase sequins that are smaller, 5mm, and all the way down to 3mm. One of the places you can find ththose sequins is meadowbrookinventions.com. And that is the website of the woman who invented the pre-strung sequin. She also has a bunch of other really wonderful products on her site that you guys will no doubt want. It's a zigzag stitch, choosing a 6.5mm width. Then I'm going to turn the handle and lower the needle, see where it's going to hit on the right side and the left side. While doing that, I'm looking and not touching anything. And that way I know the foot alignment with the fabric is not being affected by anything I'm doing. And I can adjust the position of the sequin. If the needle is striking the sequin on one side and going off in the other like that, then you turn the nut on the foot and it moves the sequin over to the needle instead of you having to move the needle over to the sequin. I don't know what I have this window open on my computer and I need to close it. There we go. I did it again. What am I doing? Why is that there? All right, no more problems. Now, as I sew, the sewing machine has a preset stitch length, and that's how close the sequins are, or the stitches are together. So this is your zigzag stitch. Oh, it's too bright of a light for that. And it has a width that goes side to side and a length that goes up and down. And the length, how close these stitches drop down from one another, well, the sequin is going to be in between those two movements. This is the sequin showing you that the sequin is not going far enough over. So when I move the guide, I'm able to move the sequin so that it is centered between the zigzag like that. And that is what I'm trying to do. And I'm also trying to use a stitch length that doesn't go too close together, because then it's harder to get the stitch to drop behind the sequin, which is what we're going to do. Leather sequins, yes, they are fun. Actually, they're not. It's just paint. See that, Joanne? It's not really sure how that's put on. I can't imagine them using heat because this fabric is sensitive to heat. So it's probably a glue. You're probably correct. And it's likely done by a gigantic machine that rolls them out and they stick onto the fabric. Something I have not researched. So I can see the stitches, they're just not moving. It's not advancing. It's not taking this through. So I'm going from 1.4, which is what my machine is set at, or its normal setting is. And I'm taking it to actually 4.0. That's a really long stitch length. And my hope is that it is the far enough for a sequin to be caught, each sequin be caught within a zigzag stitch. Now, without any stabilizer at all, because of the design of this foot, no puckers on the fabric as I'm sewing this. I moved it. That's good. I should and am going to reduce the thread tension. It's at a 4.0 and I'm taking it down to a 3.0. Because we want a nice loose stitch to prevent any fabric puckering, also known as gathering. And you can see that my hands are nowhere near this. I'm not taking the sequin and holding it in front of the foot. It takes control of it so that I can just steer my fabric. Something related to I'm gonna find out though, Amy. I will research because I would like to know that. Now here's in the beginning, and you can see that the needle was striking the sequins a bit. I hope you can see that. What you do after you sew sequins is you wiggle the fabric like that, and the thread just drops beneath the sequins. If you occasionally strike a sequin, you can take it and roll it around because it's round. And then it just drops right beneath that. So it's just do a little wiggle is how I used to say it. It shows you sew the sequins on and you do a little wiggle. And that's just taking the fabric on either side of the sequin, and that makes the stitches drop beneath. It's a lot quicker. You can also, on stretch fabrics, go across the grain like that, and the threads will just pop under. And that's how you end up with no puckers. And doesn't that go nice with it? Now I'm thinking, maybe I need to make something with these two elements for myself for Halloween this year. Another situation you'll have is sewing sequins on the edge of a fabric to hem it. Are you guys liking this particular type of teaching, where I'm not really teaching you a project, but instead covering more of a specific topic? I would love to know how you feel about this. Another situation is you probably would think, I need to finish the edge of this first. But a zigzag stitch is going to finish the edge of this. So we can actually sew right on the raw edge of the material. But I want to go wider on my stitch. I can go all the way to 7. And I'm trying to get one stitch to fall off the fabric's edge and the other stitch to go on, to keep the sequins in position. This is one of the few times when I help by bringing my finger like this to force the sequins to stay as far over in the tunnel as possible, and then let the machine do the fabric feeding. I'm not holding down on the sequin. I'm simply becoming you can actually do better to use your presser, because you'll be less likely to push down on the sequin. So that is a smooth surface that lets the sequins just glide around it. It's like a post in the road. And easy hem finishing. Another setting on your machine that will help you is to reduce the pressure of the presser foot. So see how light I have that? Light enough to where I can lift it with my finger, which is the lightest setting for my machine. So this is called a presser foot, P-R-E-S-S-E-R, presser foot, because it presses down. And then the pressure setting is how hard the post pushes down against the foot. And then you have the feed dogs that are beneath that are pulling this through. So if your foot pressure is too tight, then the fabric will be destroyed between the pressure of the foot and the feed dogs grabbing and tearing at that fabric. It all sounds so violent, doesn't it? So getting that sequin over. And I can move this guide over a little bit to the right to encourage them to go where I want. The setting on the foot and the machine is different for sewing on the edge than it is for sewing on the top of the fabric. And there you have sequins floating on the edge of the fabric, and the fabric is zigzagged on the bottom. So costumes are actually a lot easier than you might have thought. If you've ever wanted to perhaps make a I Dream a Genie costume, or you know how she had those see-through leggings and thought, gosh, that fabric's probably really hard to work with. Now you know it's really not that hard, that challenging. With our feet, because I made them with the materials, a trade secret combination that makes the clear part of the foot, they glide over the fabric surface rather than pushing down like metal feet do. There's a reason the feet are plastic, and it is not because they're cheaper to make out of plastic. It's actually more expensive to make them out of plastic. When you go to pull out your sequins and finish your garment, you're going to remove some of the sequins and then tie a knot with the thread. Because this is a chain stitch that creates this, if you don't, all your sequins will all start to fall off, and you'll be left with a zigzag stitch on the edge and no pretty sequins to reflect the light. This is how you handle it. You just grab a sequin and just take it off. Make sure you gather them up, because otherwise you're going to be finding sequins in places you never imagined you'd find them. This is what I do for about an inch, and then I flip it over, take a needle, if I can find a needle, here we go. Somebody's banging against the wall. Very strange. Okay, got my glasses on. There's two threads that, this is the anatomy of sequins. You have a large single strand. Come on, separate. Everything's red, sorry. Here we go. These four right here go through the hole on the sequin. These two smaller, thinner threads crisscross over. So you can just go like this and pull those little threads and get a whole bunch of them dislodged, and then take them all at once. So that's a faster way of doing a large amount. And you can actually cut the two little threads afterward to the fabric size, and then just tie off the four threads to keep them on your fabric. I hope that made sense, and that you're feeling confident to go ahead and